You know, life has a way of handing us blueprints we never asked for. From the way we eat, to the way we work, to the way we define success. We're often following somebody else's script. And somewhere along the line, somewhere there, we stop asking, is this even my story? Well, tonight in episode 2, we're diving into the rules that weren't written for us. They're never yours. And how do we reclaim the power to define what success really means to us? Because too many of us are exhausted from chasing standards that don't reflect who we really are. And worse, we're getting those standards, but we still don't feel fulfilled. So here's the invitation. Let's pause. Let's question the rules. And let's start creating from a place of alignment, not expectation. After all, the game you were born to play, that might just be the one that you haven't written yet. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. If you're new to me, welcome. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to reverse their diabetes, who want to get off of medication, who want to improve their metabolism and begin living a healthier life than they're currently doing. If you're new to me, go ahead and put new in the comments because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And let you know that I am happy that you're here. If you have questions, go ahead and drop those in the comments because we want to answer those. Make sure you put a Q in front of that so that we know that that is a question that we want to make sure that we get to the top of our list as we move through our show tonight. Whatever platform you're joining us from, whether that is LinkedIn or Twitch or Instagram, if you are on Facebook, of course, here on YouTube, welcome to the platform and welcome to everyone. If you are joining us because you saw our content in your social circle, whether it's your church or your community center, your doctor's office, we welcome you. And a special shout out to the Atlanta Berean folks. If you are here, thank you for coming through. And special shout out to those who are from Riverside in Nashville. Thank you for joining us as we are working on improving our health. Well, you know how we do. We've got some important things that we're going to talk about tonight and some things we want to show you. We want to show you what my blood sugars have been doing over the last several days. I've got my monitors off to the side that we'll take a look at. And then, of course, right down below me, that is my Dexcom Clarity Report that we will walk through as we look at what blood sugars are happening. Because this is real-time data, okay? This is real-time data. The other thing I want to do is I want to encourage you, if you've not been there yet, I want to encourage you to get over to our YouTube channel. We've got several things that are going on the channel, and we've made some changes to how the channel is viewed. When you go there, all of the videos that you will see are in the background. So there used to be lots of videos on that first page when you got there, but now those videos are still there, but we've moved them to the background so that you can walk right to the channel, look at that first page, and know how to get started. So let me go ahead and pull that up for you so you can take a look. And so we've adjusted that based on recommendations for some friends of ours. If you guys are watching, thank you, by the way. And so here is what the YouTube channel page looks like right now, and you'll see there at the top, that is the show that we are doing right now. So Dwain Woode MD Live, that's our flagship show that comes on every Monday at 7 p.m. If you scroll down here, you'll see two playlists, one that says Start Here. And if you are interested in knowing how to get started, how to jump in, how to walk along the path that we've been going, how to get on this journey, this is where you start from right there. Start here. It says Reverse Diabetes and Reclaim Your Health with Dr. Dwain Woode. And this is a curated list of videos that we've done that walks you through the processes that we are teaching and that we're following as we walk along this path. On the second playlist, it says this week's videos on Limitless Living with Dr. Dwain Woode. And so if you want to know, hey, what are we doing this week? I've been gone for a while, or I'm here, but I didn't quite remember what we're doing. The videos for this week will show up there. Right now, you see these are the videos from last week. And after our show tonight, this list will go away, and the first video, which we're doing right now, is going to show up in that list, and all the videos for the rest of the week will show up in that space. So make sure that you get over there and hop in and join us. If you go to our website, Dwain Woode MD, right, you'll see that is replicated on the website as well. So there is a welcome from me on the top of the page, and then it says, now if you're new here, start here. And the very same thing you'll see there, you'll see two links. The first one is that list that we just talked about, those videos that we've been curated. Transformation begins with truth, and we teach it every week. So that's that list that we did there. And then next to it is actually a downloadable PDF that walks you through those videos. Now that's also on the YouTube channel, but you could download it here from the website. So if you are pointing people to the YouTube channel, if you're pointing to people to the website, if you are pointing people to walk along the path with you as you gain success and as you are improving your health, that is how they get started. So go to the YouTube channel and hit the start here, and you can go ahead and get started. The other thing that I want to point out is on the channel, there are several things that we're doing in the community. We've walked through what we call the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. That is the functional health arm, right? That's the functional health arm of Limitless Living. So when people are talking about health, that is what we've been doing. And so on the YouTube channel and in our community, we are walking, we're doing strength training, we are having our fasting check-ins that are there. So lots of different things that you can get involved with, and you don't have to recreate. What did I say? You don't have to recreate the whole process. So if you've not been joining us, go ahead and make sure that you hop over there and begin working with us. So this is me on one of my walks. Let me go ahead and pull that up there. This is me on one of my walks. This is in our neighborhood, and we're walking, we're talking, we're doing some teaching as we move through that space. And so once again, you don't have to start over. You don't have to invent the wheel. Just come join us as we go through the walk. We did 109 days of walking, and we are in our strength, strategy, and mindset series right now, which is our another part of our MOVE campaign. That's metabolic optimization via exercise. So metabolic optimization via exercise, where we come aside and we do some weight training. Me and my son, we do that 3 times a week, and you guys I get to do it with you for 7 times a week. And so here I am. I'm getting ready to do some dumbbell presses. What else are we doing? So we're doing some press and curls, right? To get that body tone. So you just caught me at the end of that part. Okay, we've got some squats that we're doing. All of this is with the intention of improving our metabolism. So come join us if you've not done that yet, and get involved in all that we are doing. We will do our check-in, and we'll talk more about that here in just a minute. At the end of the show. So stay by. We'll talk about our check-ins for our fasting and what we're doing as we move through the space. All right, let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugars. And so here you'll see this is my Dexcom right now, and so my blood sugar right now is 119. If you scroll down here, kind of the middle of that or near the bottom of that, you'll see what my blood sugars have been over the last 24 hours. What I like about the Dexcom is I can actually put my finger on there, and you can get to see what the numbers are. We're going in the low 100s, and this was right about 2 o'clock this morning. I don't know what I was doing up, but that's okay. And that right there is a bag of chips, y'all. See right there? All right, and so back down, and then into the 120s, 130s, 1 teens for the rest of today. If I look at Let's see. Let's take a look at this guy, and this is my Freestyle Libre. So for those of you who are watching, I actually wear two monitors. I've got a Dexcom G7, and I have a Freestyle Libre on this arm. I mentioned to you last week that I also have implanted some of the implantable monitors. Those I can't show because they're not functioning right now. But that is also an option that's out there for you. And so once again, here's my blood sugar right now, and then scrolling down, you'll see these are my blood sugars over the last 12 hours, and for the most part, it's been hanging around 100 or lower. Okay, hanging around 100 or lower. Let's take a look at what my monitors are actually saying. So here's my Keto Mojo and my Contour. So let's go ahead and grab some strips for that. So the Keto Mojo gives me both the glucose and blood sugar. So let's pull that out. I need a strip for the Contour monitor, which just gives me a blood sugar. That's okay. Let's get that out. We'll get this strip in here, and then I also need a lancet. So I only have, oh, I have two. Here we go. So I'll grab two of those. I'll only need one, hopefully. So we'll put that off to the side and go ahead and open this really quickly. So we'll get that one in there. That's the glucose. And then I'm also going to go ahead and open the strip for the ketones and just have that off to the side. So I'll keep that right here. As you know, I don't use a lancing device, so I just have a lancet. So I'm going to grab that, open it up, and there is my needle. And I've been picking on this finger, so let's go ahead. We're going to keep doing that right now. And ow, 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 ow. Hopefully we get it. Yeah, we get a brisk drop of blood. So we get that started. Go ahead and get this one going. And while that's going on, let's go ahead and come back here so we can see what those are. So 108 for the Keto Mojo, 104 for the Contour, and then right there you'll see what my Freestyle Libre says. So I need one more drop of blood so I can get my ketones. So what do you think my ketones are going to be, by the way? So we ended our fast how many days ago? 4 days ago. All right. And let's go ahead and get that one started. All right, so if you think you know what my ketones are going to be, go ahead and drop that in the comments as your guess. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And the ketones are 0.3. So let me go ahead. I'm going to grab my Keto Mojo app and see if we can get that synced. So remember, ketones that are less than 0.5 considered normal, 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and then above 1.5 considered therapeutic ketosis. So if you are, and so it just pulled it in. So let me go ahead. I'm going to change views for a minute and just come back here. So, and we're looking at these three numbers, right? So the big number that's right in the middle, and then the two down below. So if you are eating a ketogenic diet, if you are fasting and trying to get into ketosis, if you're eating a fasting mimicking diet, then you want ketones that are 0.5 or higher. Ketones that are 0.5 or higher means that your body is taking fat, it's breaking it down, and it's converting the free fatty acid parts of that fat cell into, well, not the cell, but the fat inside the cell is converting it into ketones. So that's where ketones come from. You can't get ketones if you are not breaking down fat. That's where it comes from. One of the things that we point out, and if you're following us as we do our fasting through the week and we do our reviews, we will talk more about how the body inhibits our progression to ketones and some of the things that we do that prevent us from getting into ketosis. So right now, so with these numbers, right, so we want the GKI, which is that big number in the middle, we want that to be, when we're fasting and we're in ketosis, we want that to be as low as possible. If I go backwards, let's see, when we did our fast, when we were ending our fast last week, see my GKI was 1, right? So as low as possible. My glucose was 59 and my ketones were 3.1. So we want low GKI, low glucose, and high ketones. coming forward now, let's see, let's get rid of that one. And coming forward now, so since I am not fasting currently, so my glucose is 108, ketones are 0.3, and the GKI is 20. Now I want you to notice something, that 108, the blood sugar, 108 blood sugar is in the range of what we tell people we want their blood sugar to be. We usually tell them we want it to be between 100 and 120. And even at that number, notice that the ketones are not 0.5 or higher. So my body currently is not in the fat burning mode. So that's a whole conversation for us to have, that you can have normal numbers and still not be burning fat. So people say, well, why am I not losing weight when I'm eating and my blood sugars are actually good? Well, anytime there's insulin, and at 108, the body is producing insulin. Let me say that again. At a blood sugar of 108, your body is producing insulin. And insulin inhibits, stops, blocks fat burning. That's why people who have metabolic disease and people who have, I shouldn't say just metabolic disease, anybody who's along the metabolic spectrum, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, who are at risk for coronary artery disease, who've had heart attacks, strokes, who have polycystic ovarian syndrome, who have fatty livers, who have prediabetes, who have metabolic syndrome, who have diabetes. That's one of the reasons people find it difficult to lose weight, because their body is producing too much insulin, or they're taking too much insulin. So hyperinsulinemia is one of the issues that we see when it comes to weight and so forth. So let's go ahead now and let's take a look at my reports. And so for the last 14 days, my average blood sugar has been 106. I'm in target 95% of the time. Target being anywhere from 70 to 180, right? 70 to 180, but my average is 106. So an interesting point there, when we talk about that range, people think that they can be at a 179, and because it's green, because that still is in keeping with the target, that means that they have good numbers. That's not the case. That range is not good numbers. That range is a safety parameter. All right. So good numbers, because remember, normal blood sugars for a non-diabetic person, normal blood sugars are between 70 to 99. So any blood sugar that's above 99 is abnormal. I want you to kind of keep that in mind. So my GMI, or glucose management indicator, is 5.8. That means if I were to get an A1C based on the numbers I've had over the last 14 days, then my A1C would approximate a 5.8. I can't call it an A1C because it's a calculated number, but I'm expecting my numbers to be in that range. But let's do one more thing. Let's go ahead and change from a 14-day view and look at what's been going on over the last 90 days. So the last 3 months, what have my blood sugars been? So my average blood sugar is 115. So once again, we want blood sugars to be between 100 and 120, and I'm in target 98%. My GMI is 6.1. So if I were to get an A1C, that's what I would expect it to be. And I'm in target 70 to 180. All right, let's take a look at my daily graphs. Let's get rid of this thing and see what's been going on over the last 3 days, because we ended our fast back here on Friday. So let's see what's been going on. So today, here we are. So blood sugars of 117, 117 in the 120s, 127. And so I want you to notice something. So coming into the morning, that's today, by the way. So this is midnight. Coming into the morning, numbers are actually doing pretty good. So I was up late last night, and I was like, oh, let me eat a bag of chips. Boom, there you go. So and I'm not going to tell you the brand because I don't want to disparage anybody. So 102 up to 170, 75, right? That was about 2:30. Here's about 2:30, so 2 hours later. And 2 hours after that, 122. Okay, so that's one of the hang-ups, one of the drawbacks of being up late at night, right? Because how do we stay awake, or how do we keep ourselves going when we are up and we're tired? right? Remember the heat model, habits, emotions, access, and taste? One of the things that we do is we eat. That's a whole nother conversation. All right, and so back into the day before, 1:30s. So this is now Sunday. Up into, and you guys know I do, typically when I'm not fasting, I do one meal a day. And so here's my one meal a day that popped up to about 180, it looks like, and then back down into the 120s, right? And then coming into that meal, we were in the low 100s, 120s, 130s, right? And going further back now into Saturday, and so here we are, 130s, right? And so the reason that I show you this is so that you can see what happens in real time with those blood sugars, right? So here are some blood sugars, and this was, what time was this? I'm not sure what I was doing up at that time. All right, so 120s, 120s, and then coming into our fast, or the breaking of our fast, so looks like the highest we got up to was 170. All right, so we ended the fast right about here at the 70s. And you guys, if you didn't see what I ate to break my fast last week, go back and watch that episode. Okay, all right. So that gives you what's been going on with blood sugars as we've been talking over the last several weeks. All right, or last several days, I guess, let me say that. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's say hi to some of our community members. And I do see some of you out there, so let's say hello. Let's see, and Gion, looks like Gion was here first. So she says, hi doctor, hi LLG. Gion, thank you for coming through. And Gion said, thank you, doctor. All you're doing for us, you are so welcome. And Bowie, what's going on? Bowie says, oh, I guess you guys aren't seeing all of that. Hold on, let me back up for a minute. Let's do here. So Gion says, thank you for all that you're doing. And Bowie says, hi, Gion. Gion says, hi, Bowie. Pamela, hello, everyone. Bowie says, hi, Pam. Hi, Pam from Gion. Steve says, hello, folks. Hi, Steve. Gion, hello to Steve. And Gion says 0.3. Gion, did you guess, or were you just repeating what you saw? Because ketones, that was spot on. If you were guessing, very good. And of course, Steve says, do you ketosis? Gion says, Steve, do you ketosis every day? Gion says, why? I hit Dr. Ketones. Okay, yes, so you were guessing. Cornelia says hello, and Bowie says hello to Cornelia. Awesome. Well, good. I'm glad that you guys are here, for all of the community members, as we walk through our discussion this evening. So our idea of health is regulated, it's influenced by a lot of things that we do. So let's go ahead and let's hop over and let's begin our conversation for this evening. All right, so this is the Play Your Own Game series. And in this episode, the rules were never yours, right? Reclaiming that. How do we begin rewriting that? And how do we begin thinking about that? Because let's be honest, most of us are playing by somebody else's rules. We may not even realize that. We grow up with a scorecard. And the scorecard was handed to us. We inherited definitions of success, definitions of health, definitions of manhood, of womanhood, spirituality, productivity, and we didn't even realize we were handed something from someone else, and that was their game board. And now we're wondering why it doesn't feel fulfilling, why we're exhausted, why we're winning, right? We're achieving those metrics and still not happy. So here I want to challenge you to ask you a simple question, but something that's powerful. Whose game? are you playing? Whose game are you playing right now? And what I want to talk to you about might just change the way you see everything, from your health, your habits, the way you define success as well. Because here's the truth. If we're living by somebody else's rules, if we're living by rules we never chose, somewhere along the way, there's going to be a disconnect. Somebody told us what it meant to be healthy. Yep. Somebody told us what it meant to be successful. Somebody told us what it meant to be a real man or a good woman or a productive person. And without ever realizing it, we started performing for a life we didn't design. And maybe that's why you've gotten to the top of your industry. Maybe you have the promotion. Maybe you have the house. You have the money. You have the White House with the picket fence and the 1.5 kids and the dog. But you still are like, something is not right. So here what we want to do is we're going to walk through what it really means to take the pen back and begin writing our own story. I'm going to show you how to recognize the unspoken rules that are running your life. How do we reclaim that? How do we reclaim the ability to do that? And most importantly, how do we begin building our own rhythm and our practice and stop performing? How do we begin practicing and not performing so that you can create a life that you don't need to escape from? Whether you're on a health journey, breaking generation patterns, like everybody in our family has a heart attack. Everybody in our family has diabetes. Everybody in our family died before they were 50. Everybody, whatever the everybody is. Or you're just tired of living on somebody else's timeline. This is for you. The rules were never yours. But the good news is you're the author now. Let's jump in. Let's see how we can rewrite and begin talking about what we do as we improve our health. So first thing is the fact that we have to own what we do. But there are some unspoken rules. From the moment we were born, we were surrounded by a script. A good man does X. Success looks like a car, a job, this title, this much money, married, 2 kids, this much money in the bank. Health means being skinny, having visible abs, or fitting into a certain outfit. And if we're not careful, we end up performing for a life we never actually chose. So, can I tell on myself for a minute? And here's an example of us going by somebody else's script. So my son, he was 3, 4, young, 5 years old, something. And so we're at church, and he's sitting, and he's kneeling. Well, he's not sitting. I'm sitting. He's kneeling. And he is, I don't know if we had a coloring book or something. And he's humming. You know how kids do. And there's a lady sitting in front of us, and she turns around and she looks at us. Now, my son is not humming very loud. And I mean, there's a whole nother conversation. And so she turned around and she looks at me. And instinctively, what did I do? I took the crayon, took the coloring book, took my son, put him on the seat, and forced the 3-year-old or 4-year-old, whatever, I forgot what age he was, forced the 4-year-old to sit through this program because I was uncomfortable with what was going on. Notice it had nothing to do with him. It was all about me. And so just like that, a lot of what we do really has nothing to do with us. as we are walking through the path. It has everything to do with how we perceive people are seeing us. I've had patients come in devastated because their blood sugar isn't perfect. But when I ask what their definition of perfect is, they can't tell me where perfect was or where that came from. But someone said, hey, your blood sugars, and they gave whatever. And so we go and we look, and their blood sugars are 105, 106. Now, we've said here in this space that we want blood sugars to be between 100 and 120. A normal blood sugar is between 70 and 99. And so when we're looking at the parameters, and we'll talk about this here in a minute, there are some standards that we want to keep. We're not throwing the baby away with the bathwater. But the question is not the standard, but why are we following the standard? Do we understand what it means? We're operating off of rules that came from a magazine, a relative, a fitness influencer, or even a well-meaning physician. Not what we have created. One of my biggest, we have medical students who come through the office, who rotate through the office. We have high school students. We have nurse practitioners who come through, and other pre-professionals, people who are training. And one of the big lessons that I try to teach is that when I have someone who comes into the office, the very first conversation we have with them is not really about where the goalpost is for blood sugar. And we're talking now specifically diabetics, right? Because we have people who come for lots of different reasons. When I have somebody who I'm talking about metabolism, or someone who's talking about weight, or someone who's talking about heart disease or blood pressure, right? My first conversation is not what the goalpost is. My first conversation is, do you understand how your body works? Because if I can get you to understand how the body works, and then we talk about what the goalposts are, you get to make decisions about how we get there successfully based on your lifestyle, based on how you live, based on your personality. One of the things I love is my son is a big basketball fan. And one of the things I love about watching basketball is that everybody on the court knows the same fundamentals. They know how to dribble. They know how to handle the ball. They know how to do crossovers. They know how to do between the legs. Everybody learns the exact fundamentals on how to shoot. But if you watch them, what makes the game beautiful and amazing is that everybody has their own flair. And when we don't add our own flair, we end up playing. And have you ever seen somebody play a game or actually even play an instrument and they know the fundamentals, right? They know what keys to hit, but you're listening to them play or you're watching them play and you think, they know the game, but they don't have the flair for the game. Here's the truth. A life lived by somebody else's rules will never bring you peace, because even when you win, you're still losing because you're playing somebody else's game. So we want to make sure that we are playing our own game and not living by those unspoken rules. So how do we go about rewriting those rules? So what do we do about it? We begin rewriting. Not by rejecting wisdom, but by reclaiming authorship. So this one, I want to spend a few moments kind of laying out the thought, because I want you to get this. This is probably the most important pivotal point that you will hear. You ready? Ask yourself, what does success look like and feel like? What does my version of health include? What do I need in this season of my life? And how does that align with what I'm doing currently? Okay? Now, let's be clear. This isn't about lowering the bar. It's not about saying, well, I don't care what my blood sugars are or what my A1C is. Or they told me that my weight is too high. I don't care what they said. Not at all. Because there are metrics. If you're playing a game, if you're playing basketball, guess what? We know when you won. If you're playing football and you didn't go across that line, guess what? You didn't get a point. So we're not talking about chucking the game. We're not talking about destroying or disassembling the game. What we're talking about is how we play that game to achieve the parameters that we know need to be reached. But how do we do that based on us putting in and doing what we need to do? When I finally decided for myself that I couldn't stay in the space I was, and you guys have heard some of that story, I started doing something that was counter to everything else that I wanted to and needed to do. I started chasing the numbers. Well, they told me, I know that it has to be, right? So I'm doing that. And I remember being in the office, and there's this place here that sells, I'm from New York, right, from Brooklyn. And so pizza is like my thing, one of my things, right? So I don't talk about it much but anyway, that's another story. So pizza is my thing. And there's a place here that had pizza. Well, it wasn't a pizza, it was a calzone. A calzone is basically a pizza that's stuffed with all the stuff inside, and you fold it in half, you seal it, and you put it in the oven. So it's like a pizza pocket. And so you can put whatever you want in it. It's basically a pizza, right? Folded in half. And so we went to this place, or they brought it in, because I told you we order from the restaurants, and they brought it in. And I thought to myself, right, during this period, I'm trying to remember, I'm reversing diabetes. I said, well, I can eat the calzone, and the calzone, it's like a whole pizza, y'all. It's just in half, but all the bread is there. All the carbs are still there. Everything else is still there. And I said, well, I can eat this because I just need to get good blood sugar. I just need to get a good blood sugar. So if I eat it and my blood sugar is good, then it must be good. Because I'm chasing what? I'm chasing the number. And so I ate the calzone and my blood sugar started rising. Well, I knew it was going to rise. And at the time I was taking insulin. And I took 100 units of insulin for the calzone. 100 units. 2 hours later, my blood sugar is 350. This is after 100 units of insulin. So I took another 50 or 60 units of insulin. 2 hours after that, the blood sugar is still 290, 2 something. So I took another 50 units of insulin. Now I hope you're counting. Because what am I doing? I'm chasing the number. Why am I chasing the number? Because the number was what I was taught. The number is what I knew. The number is what I'm trying to achieve. But you now understand that hyperinsulinemia is the problem. So the fact that the blood sugar finally came down, and actually the blood sugar came down, I think it was 95 or something like that. So the number is great. But I was playing somebody else's game, chasing the number, not really understanding and inputting into that equation the fact that, man, if you're taking, and that was over 200 units, if you guys were counting as I was doing that. If I take 200 units of insulin for a single meal, how much weight do you think I put on for the next 2-3 days? How much does my appetite get stimulated over the course of that 24 to 36 hours? How much does my body have to do? Because remember, we said that it takes 24 to 36 hours for the body to get rid of what's in the liver. My blood sugar stayed high for hours despite the insulin. And that's an example of playing somebody else's game, because we're chasing the number, not really understanding what the number means and what our treatment of that number does for our body. So I had to stop chasing the numbers just to impress the lab. I needed another anchor for my health. I needed something else that brought clarity to why I was doing what I was doing. So how do we begin rewriting? We begin rewriting by understanding, by getting knowledge, by understanding how my body works and understanding what that number really is telling me and what that number really means. When I made that shift, my energy changed, clarity came. Movement came. Enjoyment came in the process of being healthy. And when that happened, the numbers followed. So rewriting the rules doesn't mean scrapping them, doesn't mean not achieving those things, but understanding how the rule fits into the overall health and what does it really mean to control blood sugars and to be healthy. So let's talk a little bit about the psychology of ownership. When you start playing your own game, two powerful things begin to happen. You gain agency and you engage deeper. You gain agency and you engage deeper. One, gaining agency. So instead of being pushed around by guilt, shame, and social pressures, we begin to choose for ourselves. So I have a lot of patients who do cruises. As a matter of fact, I have a couple of patients who do like long cruises. I'm talking 6 months, like around the world. They're down to South America and back, and just long cruises. And people who do cruises have all kinds of metabolic dysfunction diseases. So diabetes, for example. So can you imagine letting loose a bunch of diabetics on a cruise ship? Because there's food everywhere, right? Because food is always there. And somebody's told me recently, they said we learned that the desserts are always there, and the desserts, they look good, but they don't always taste as good as we thought they did. When people understand, when they are taking ownership, when it is their plan, they gain agency. They're no longer pushed by guilt that says, man, if I eat that, I'm a bad person. Or, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Or they told me not to do this. Or everybody's with me, because they go into groups. Everybody's with me, so I can't do it right now. I can't eat it. And when everybody goes to their rooms, when everybody is doing something else, you kind of run by on the ship, right? It's like you're skulking around and you're grabbing food everywhere, right? There's all the different ports. You're grabbing stuff and you're eating so nobody can see. Because you're not living your own game. You're not playing your own game. But when it is your plan, you get to say, I'm going to eat that thing, but I'm not going to eat that one. I'm going to eat this, and then I'm going to exercise. I'm going to eat that. I'm going to take some medication, but that one I'm not going to eat because I don't want to have to take any more medication. Notice what's happening. You are choosing at that point how you manage your disease. Why? Because it's your plan. It's your game. We're shooting for the same goals, but I'm shooting for it my way. So we gain agency. Number 2, we engage deeper. Studies show that when people define their own goals, they're more likely to achieve them and sustain them. One of the things I do when I have younger patients who come in for diabetes is I will say to them, I want you to pick an A1C. Now, sometimes the parents are not, and sometimes their doctors are like, oh no, let's not do that, right? Because they'll come in A1C of, I don't know, 10, 12, and we want an A1C down into 6, right? 6.5 is what we tell folks we want an A1C to be. So they'll come in, 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, sometimes 20-year-old, and I'll say, hey, your A1C is 14. I want you to pick an A1C that we're shooting for. And they'll pick, right? They'll pick an A1C like 5. And I'll say to them, well, I think you can pick that, but I don't know that we're going to be able to achieve that right now. Notice. I want you to listen. And they said, what do you mean? I said, I want you to pick a realistic A1C that you think you can achieve. And they said, you mean like not a normal one? I said, yeah. What A1C do you think you can get to? And their A1C is like 14. And they'll say, I think I can get to 11. And I'll say, okay, let's shoot for 11. Do you know why? Because if I say, let's shoot for a 7, they don't own that. That's my goal. And there is no buy-in. There's actually resistance. But I said, A1C of 11, are you sure you can get to 11? They're like, I can do 11. I said, you sure you don't want to shoot for higher? No, I could do 11. And they now have buy-in. They have chosen the goal. The goal is moving us in the direction that we want to go. And they engage deeper. So when they come back, they're like, man, I told you I can get to an 11. I said, yeah, you did. Because it's no longer an obligation. It's about alignment. And so for your disease, for your metabolism, for your weight, for your blood sugar, your buy-in is important. That's why it's called the health action plan. And you hear me say all the time, the things we learn are great. I love the fact that you listen. I love the fact that you watch the videos. I love the fact that you like them and you send me messages. But you know what I love even more? I love to see you out there doing the things that we're talking about. The health action plan. Because it's no longer about me. It's no longer about obligation. It's about your aligning yourself and your behavior to the things that you say you want. So ownership transforms energy. You no longer leave to motivate someone to show up when the mission comes from them. So I don't have to tell you anymore. Hey, when you go on the cruise, watch that. I don't do that anymore. Why? Because people now understand what happens in their body. And they're making a decision that that's what I want. But you can't make that decision if you don't understand how your body's working. You can't make the decision if you don't understand how to create and how to craft and how to implement and how to create the structure that you need to take you in that direction. So there's power in that psychology. For my son, we have him choose the things that he wants. Hey, you want to do this or you want to do that? When we're going traveling, hey, why? Because he bought in. You said you wanted to come here. Now what we're going to do. Yep. So we rewrite the rules. There's psychology in ownership. And then let's do a practical coaching idea. I want you to grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, right? Grab it real quick, right? Pause the video if you need to. And I want you to write something. And I don't want you to put it on your phone. I don't want you to type it on your phone. Get a pen and paper. But if you don't have something right there, that's okay. But when you get a chance, I want you to take it off the phone. I want you to write it by hand. I want you to write the following sentence and fill in the blanks. I used to believe success looked like blank. I used to believe that success looked like blank. But today I define success as blank. I used to believe that success looked like having a blood sugar that was between 100 and 120. I used to believe that. But today I define success, this is with respect to my health, but today I define success as being healthy and my blood sugars follow my health. So at one time I was just chasing the blood sugar, but now I'm chasing being healthy and the blood sugar follows my decision to be healthy. So I want you to write that down. Right? I used to believe success looked like blank, but today I define success as blank. Do it now. I want you to say it out loud. If you're by yourself, even if you're not by yourself, say it out loud. And I want you to breathe it in. I want you to feel the shift. And here's a kind of a follow-up. If you were playing my game, fully, or let me say it a little bit. If I were playing my game, let's make it me. If I were playing my game, and you when I say I, you're talking about yourself. If I were playing my game fully, I would stop doing blank and start doing blank. Right, so the first one is I define success. I used to define success as blank. Now I define success as blank, right? So that's one. And the second one is if I were playing my game, I would stop doing blank and I would start doing blank. This one right here, if I were playing my game, this one can change your life. Because this one is transformational. It's not about the other person anymore. It's about me. If I were playing my game fully, I wouldn't do this, but I would do this thing. And then, you want it? Are you ready? It's not enough to know the rules. It's not enough to know that the rules weren't yours. It's not enough to rewrite them on paper. You have to practice living them every day. This is about putting your definition of success that you just wrote, your definition about health, your definition about playing your game, and your identity into daily motion with intention. Here's the key. Performance is fragile. It relies on the approval and the applause from someone else. If I do this, they're going to be happy. If I do this, they're going to be happy. One of the things that I struggled with for a long time in my life was and you hear people talk about this, and I don't know that the name gives it justice, but this idea of imposter syndrome. And that is the idea, not that it's an internal struggle. And the idea is if they really knew who I was at my core, if they really knew me, they would not stay around. I would be rejected. And so what does someone who struggles with imposter syndrome do? They perform. It's always shooting for approval. I tell the story that when I was a kid, we had a fire at my house. We did. Now, I'm going to jump in right here and say that it was not my fault. And I'm sticking to that story. Okay? Despite what my sister says, it wasn't my fault. But we had a fire at the house. And some things got burnt up. It's funny now, but it wasn't funny back then. And my dad, I remember coming home, and we got everything all fixed, and insurance kicked in and so forth. And I remember coming home later, another time after that, and my mom said to me, but now I'm 9 years old or thereabouts, and my mom said to me she smelled gas. And so I went downstairs. We had a basement, and I went downstairs. I found the gas, turned off the pilot and all the stuff. So my dad comes home, and my mom is telling him the story. And she said, and Dwain went downstairs and he turned off the gas. And she said, well, I don't even know how he knew how to do that. And my dad, without batting an eye, said, that's because he's a Woode. That's me. I'm a Woode, by the way. And do you know what the most powerful thing that I remember that pushes me now is the idea that I'm a Woode? That my dad owned me. That my dad claimed me. He's saying he knows how to do it because he's my kid. And that concept pushes me sometimes to this day, as old as I am, because I am my dad's son. I'm a Woode. Now, there are positives to that story. You guys hear it, right? But sometimes, if we're not careful, our desire for approval, when we chase the approval of other people, sets us up for difficulty because it forces us to perform. And performance is fragile because these set of people may like your performance, those set of people may not. These set of people may think you're great, these set of people may not. But practice is resilient. It shows up even when no one's watching, because it's rooted in identity. And so now, back to the story of I'm a Woode. My job, my goal is not to perform because I'm a Woode. My goal, my job, and my desire and my being is to produce, to practice because I'm a Woode. Notice this change in thoughts. I have to do it because I'm a Woode. No, I'm doing it because I'm a Woode. So it shows up differently. Even when nobody's watching. Even when I'm not performing. I'm a Woode. And so who are you at your core? When you switch from performing to practicing, you begin to live your values rather than living your insecurities. Your new rule book needs repetition, it needs structure, and it needs your grace, not perfection, by the way. Here's something I want you to try every evening. You ready? Here it is. I want you to ask a couple questions. Did I live by my rules today? Number one. Number two. So what did I live by my rules today? Number one. Number two, where did I default to somebody else's script? Where did I default to somebody else's script? What do I want to repeat tomorrow? And what can I release? What do I want to repeat tomorrow? And what can I release? So let me give you those again. Number one, did I live by my rules today? Number two, where did I default to somebody else's script? Number three, what do I want to repeat tomorrow? And what can I release? Remember, we're no longer chasing the old win. We're creating a life that feels like us. One consistent action at a time. Listen, the rules that we live by, many of them, were never ours. But the pen is now in our hand. We don't need permission to change the script. We need courage. We need clarity. We need community. We are living so that our rhythm, our alignment, and our structure are all taking us in the direction that we need to go and the direction that we want to go. And remember, you weren't born to fit into somebody else's game. You were born to play your own game. So let's take back now the power and begin writing our own script. And we begin by playing our own game. Oh, I always say that, these are some of my favorite conversations. Oh yeah, I love them. I love these conversations because they go to the heart. They go to the heart of how we do the things that we do. So let's go ahead and let's hop over. Let's say hello to some of our community members. I see you guys having some conversations out there. So let me see. Let's see. Where did we stop? We stopped here. Hi. Okay. So Cornelia says, "Hi, Bowie. I'm on my way home with my family. I'm just popping in to say hello to everyone." Well, thank you for coming through, Cornelia. Steve says, "I'm at 4.2 right now." So Steve, that's his ketones. So he is well into the therapeutic ketosis range. Gion says, "Hi, Cornelia." Cornelia says, "Wow, Steve, I've never seen a 4.2. Gion said, "I see, Cornelia. Thank you. Great job, Gion." Gion says, "Thank you for popping in." Steve, wow, how are you feeling with that ketone? Cornelia says, Gion says, "Cornelia, going out soon." Steve, I don't know how these ketones work. That's the highest I've ever seen. Remember, let me jump in there really quickly with that idea of ketones. Remember, ketones that are above 1.5 are considered therapeutic ketosis, right? So ideally, when we talk about ketones, the longer you fast and the more that your body burns, the more fat that's being burned, right? That's the idea. But remember, as we're burning ketones, the body has the ability to use them up, and it only needs a certain amount. So when we're burning ketones, the body will use what it needs, right? And it continues to burn the fat cells, and all of those cells begin shrinking. So that's where people get that big weight loss that they talk about with ketosis. So one of the interesting points that I want to make there is that whether you're a 0.5 or you're a 4.5, like Steve is, you're still burning ketones. Now, we want ideally ketones to be higher, and the higher you get, theoretically, the more you're burning fat. But don't think that just because your ketones are 0.5 that you're not burning fat. You are burning fat, and we love to see those ketones, Steve. The group of people that we want to be careful of for ketones, these are type 1 diabetics. Remember, type 1 diabetics, we don't want our ketones. You make sure you're talking with your healthcare provider, by the way. If you're type 1 out there and you're fasting, make sure you're discussing with your healthcare provider. Everybody should be doing that, but specifically wanted to make that point for you. Okay, so let's see. So Steve says, okay, we talked about that. What is your daily eating pattern, says Gian. Steve says, I haven't eaten meat for 2 days. I don't know if that plays a part in it. I usually eat my daily meat 11 to 12. I ate some 8 a.m. today. So when we're talking about ketosis, there are certain things that will push ketosis. If you're exercising, of course, if you've gone to a really, really low carb diet, then ketosis gets enhanced. If you are well rested, ketosis gets enhanced. Of course, if you drink ketones, that goes up as well. Gian says, is it your OMAD, 1 meal a day? So Steve typically does a 1 meal a day. The coloring book story is my life right now. I'm trying to do the best by my daughter, but other adults try to shame us without knowing why we parent the way we do. Oh yeah, let me put that back up. So one of the things that I talked to some folks in our office about this is, Let me. I'm pausing because I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it. There are some cultural, social norms, okay, and we all live by them. It's the way the world works, and there are social, cultural norms that we fit into because we've all decided that that's how it is. Okay, and those we don't knock. Okay, so if this is the norm, this is how we do it. You buy into that, not a problem. So for instance, in that case with my son, if my son is running down the aisles, acting like a wild man, that's not acceptable. But what I try to tell people is, don't allow other people to cause you to inflict injury, and when I don't mean physical injury, but emotional injury on your kids because of how you perceive they look at you. Because usually it's not about the kids. Because in that case, it wasn't about my son, it was about me. I didn't want to be embarrassed. So if you're watching, and Boy, I know, I'm kind of picking your story and kind of running with it. But don't allow other people to cause you to inflict emotional, psychological baggage on your child because of how you perceive people looking at you. One of the things that I love doing is I take my son with me everywhere. Well, I try to. when he wants to go, when he wants to hang out with the old man. And I introduce him to everybody. I mean, I am that this is my son, this is my son, this is my son. He's like, Daddy, why are you always doing that? Daddy, I don't want to. You're right. So he kind of shies away now, but because I'm proud of him. We take him to the accountant. We take him to the financial planner. We take him Even when we as a kid, we did that. Why? Because he's my son. And there are some benefits to being my son. And I remember we used to, I've been leading in some certain clubs that he's been in and certain groups that he's been in. And I actually be a little harder on him because I didn't want anybody to think that I was paying favoritism. But then I thought there are some benefits to being my son. There has to be some benefits to being my son. So don't let people, yeah, anyways, you got me on one of my rants. So coloring book. Okay, so Steve, let's go back over here. Steve says, oh, let me take that off. That one, put it over here. There we go. It was today. It could have been the kimchi I ate. Steve says 8. Oh, I see. Kimchi good. Steve says, yes, it is. Boy said, I remember working in a pizza place and our recipe for one calzone was half the dough for a whole large pizza. Oh, yeah, calzones, I love them, but y'all, they are something else. Ooh, let me put that back. Okay, there we go. My family does this. They use diabetic medications to eat more carbs, heavy foods, and look at me like I'm crazy for reducing my carb load. So one of the interesting things there is that people are where they are. So as you're learning limitless living, as you are growing, as you're expanding, your capacity to absorb some information is more expansive than some people are. And some people are where you were last year or the year before. There are people who are not where I am now. And so sometimes, yeah, you look at some of the things that other people do. You're like, oh, wow, let's not do that. But remember, it's a journey, and that's why we call it a path. It's a pathway to where we are. She said, actually, my husband said my daughter didn't eat the money worth. Oh, let's see, money worth for only eating 1 slice and 2 garlic knots. But that is a good portion for an 8-year-old. Oh, he didn't eat the money's worth. Okay. I used to obsess with my weight. It says from Jiyeon. Numbers, but I am now defining success by understanding myself and how the body works. Yes, that is the key. And being honest by myself, I'm so inspired. What your father said. Yeah. He was my dad talked. My dad talked a lot. Somebody said, hey man, do you work out? Yes, we do. Find us, Strength, Strategy, and Mindset is our series that we're doing right now. So yes, we do work out. Gian said, Bowie, what is coloring book story? Oh, that was the story I was just telling about my son being in church and coloring and somebody saying, or somebody turning around and looking at me and me making a decision to do something different. Okay. All right. Well, that is our conversation, right? The conversation is all about playing our own game. Remember, you don't have to play other people's games. We get to write the story. We're not chucking the standards. We're not chucking the goals. We're not destroying the game. All we're doing is we're designing the game that is consistent with how we need to do it. And part of that is understanding what the goals are and understanding how our body works and how is the best way for us to get there. Because when we have buy-in, we get agency and we get a deeper connection to that goal. That's the idea. Because our conversations about our health and our thoughts about our health can be it's disconnected and there's friction because we don't understand how it's supposed to work. And people keep telling us a particular thing and we're trying that thing, but there is some disconnect there. But when we understand and we have buy-in and we have designed that game, guess what? Oh, the sky, y'all, is the limit. And so that's why we educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the shows, with the blogs, with the podcasts, all the things that we do. We empower with the tools that we learn. The Limitless Living Health Action Plan, Balanced Bites. When we talk about creating a meal, we did the seven-day menu that we created, being emotionally present, being mindful eating. All of those are tools on how we go about setting ourselves up for success and moving down the path and putting to practice the things that we're learning. Because it's great that you're learning it, great that you're listening, but are you putting it into practice? That is where the key is. It's not just about performing, it's about practicing. Right? We educate, we empower, and we encourage an amazing community. As you see people here in our chat and in our community. If you've not yet joined our community, there is a link down there that says join, a button. Go ahead and join. We have our monthly meetup. Our accelerator program is going to be launching, coming up here in just a little over a week. As we move into a little over a week, actually, 2 weeks, as we move into that space. So pay attention to that. It'll show up on our website. It'll show up on the YouTube channel for you to be able to sign up and to get into that. Make sure that you are joining us. Tomorrow we will start our fast. We'll do our check-in. You get to see what I eat for the last meal before the fast begins. We'll do our check-in around 1:30, 12, between 12 and 1. On tomorrow, on Wednesday, and on Thursday. Wednesday night, we'll do our check-in here as we continue walking through the process. Thursday night, we do our check-in. And then on Friday, we will have our complete review of fasting, how to prepare for the fast, how to get through the fast, and then, of course, how to break the fast. On Saturday, we'll have video from the vault at 9 p.m. Saturday night. And then on Sunday, this week in review. If you want to keep up with us, as we go through the week, go ahead and make sure you watch the playlist that says this week's videos. This one is going in there right after we finish here, and it'll be the only one that's in there right now. So if you want to know where we are, that's where we are. And then as we do videos for the week, it'll show up in that list. If you want to know how to jump on the path, how to walk down this journey that we're on, the one that says start here on the YouTube channel, that's where you want to go. And there is a PDF that you can download that gives you a summary of the videos and the path that you need to go through. Hey, I am always excited when you're here, always excited to be with you, and excited to be part of this amazing community as I myself am working to improve my metabolism and to set myself up for the best possibility of success. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we're living limitless lives, which says that we're not allowing anything from outside or anything from inside to prevent us from doing what we need to do. We're showing up with our best self, our best health, and our best plans for life. Now go live a limitless life and play your own game, and we'll see you later this week in our episodes and in our community. Good night, everybody.